Actually, I was surprised, but I'm excited. Obviously bittersweet leaving an organization that you've been with the whole time. They treated me really well, but I'm really excited for this new opportunity. Honestly, it's been a blessing. Just going to a new team. Sometimes it's hard being the new guy. Especially I've been where I was the whole time. But the baseball world's small, but luckily, that's a brother to me. We actually spent all of quarantine together. So the fact that I got traded to first of all, Padres, being from California is awesome, but the fact that he's on the squad just made everything so much easier for me. It means everything. It's awesome. I'm glad to be back in California. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, not too far from here, a couple hours north, but I've actually lived in San Diego before. I went to Palomar Junior College. So I'm very familiar with the area, which is nice, especially, a lot of times you go to a new city and it's tough to, figure out everything that's going on, whatever. So I just feel like that's an advantage for me, just being familiar with the city, being familiar with the state, all of that. 2015, it was my first spring training. In retrospect, looking back, I guess I was feeling a little under the weather, but I kind of just attributed it to being like, okay, this is my first spring training, just a little harder than I thought, but I was tired all the time. And then through routine blood work, they found that my hemoglobin, which is your red blood cell count, was just way too low. So additional tests. My dad had passed away from colon cancer, so they decided to give me a colonoscopy, and sure enough, they found a tumor. So that kind of derailed my career for the time being. I got surgery. I actually did my chemotherapy here in San Diego. Um, and I came back in 2016 and was fine. As far as like what it taught me is just hanging out there. I met a lot of people who made friends with a few people who actually ended up passing away, and it just kind of teaches you, don't take anything for granted, and just gave me a new appreciation, I would say, if anything. I think it kind of just gave me like a driving force, a goal to get to. Like, I remember like when I was doing chemo, it was kind of just like, all right, I'm doing this so that I can get back on the field. I'm doing this so I can get back onto the field. And then when I was done with that, I was probably 150 pounds. I was really weak, just looked terrible, to be honest. And then when I started training, it was the same thing. Like, all right, I'm doing this so I can get back onto the field. And eventually I was where I needed to be, and it all kind of just worked itself out. But it definitely gave me like a driving force, something to work towards, something to look forward to. I just feel like I'm healthy, as far as like, I don't think my immune system is compromised. I think they labeled me as a high risk, like, just categorically. I don't feel that I'm actually, like, my immune system is actually compromised. I feel healthy, I feel strong. Obviously be super careful, stuff like that, but I'd be being careful anyways. So I just don't. I want to play baseball. I honestly couldn't throw a baseball overhand if you asked me to. I just, like, it's my natural arm slot. I've always thrown like that. I've never thrown overhand. So I've been throwing like that since I was little, since little league, always. Kind of happy that I'll get more opportunity to face some righties. In the past, I kind of, just get pigeonholed to, you're going to face this lefty. And, it's like, I'm excited to prove myself that I can get righties out as well. Yeah, I was, 32nd rounder, so never really like a main priority, or at least didn't feel like it when I first came up. But, in all honesty, I was treated very fair over there. And when I did prove myself, everything was good, because I've heard other organizations, people saying like, oh, like late rounders don't really get a chance, but I felt like I got my fair shot.